our mission as teachers, as staff, that we look each child in the eye. We kind of get a sense of how they're feeling. We ask them, we build their vocabulary, that emotional intelligence since TK, so that they can express themselves. And that's the best way for teachers to actually reach their kids, is knowing how they're doing.
Hi everyone, I'm Monica from Schola. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Schola School Chat video. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our awesome school interviews. Ready to look at some schools? I know I am. Let's jump right into it.
I'm Sean Hoffman with Schola, and I'm here today with Denise Alate, Principal of Scholarship Prep in Santa Ana, California. Denise, thanks so much for having us here today.
Absolutely, thank you. You're welcome.
So just to get things kicked off here, can you tell us a little bit about the school's mission?
Absolutely. This is our 6th year. We are here in Orange County in Santa Ana, California, and our school mission is we are committed to community change, and we do that makes it so special, because we have university-inspired schools. Our teachers are trauma-informed, and we're here just to make a difference in the lives of our children. We also are a school that prioritizes homeless youth, children that are experiencing homelessness, and those who are currently in foster care.
Wow.
And that is our specialty.
And I noticed that walking around the school, because we just toured it, that university-inspired bit. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
And the thought behind it?
So many of our teachers and even founders and directors, we are all just so dedicated to education and also just changing the trajectory of our children's lives and their quality of life. And we know that education is the key. Mm-hmm. And so making that university-inspired environment makes it attainable for our scholars, because since kindergarten, TK, our scholars are not listed by their room number, but by the university. So we have kindergartners going to Harvard, we have 6th graders going to Tuskegee, we have 8th graders going to Hawaii. And so that just makes it attainable. It makes it to where our scholars are learning about universities every single year. Mm-hmm. And so we weave that with their arts and athletics program. And so we're trying to do everything that we can so that our scholars and our families are very aware of the possibilities through scholarships. And that's our name, Scholarship Preps. We want to prepare our scholars for their future, and so that we can make a difference all together.
That's great, having the university mentality from the beginning, knowing that they can really achieve and achieve that level, attain that. Mm-hmm. Could you also say, what would you say are kind of the top 3 or 3 prominent features of the school?
Absolutely. Just our values. I think knowing that scholarship is standard, we believe that equity is essential, and we also know the power of community partnerships, mm-hmm. whether that be involving our parents, whether that's involving the community. All of us are working together to bring resources, knowledge, information, education to our students and their families. And so we know that this is a community school where partners feel really welcomed, mm-hmm. and our families feel that they can be set up for success, because we're here to provide so many other needs that they may need, and also just seeking just different opportunities to really enhance the lives of our kids and their families.
Wow, sounds great. And I know you were telling me a little bit about it earlier. Like, what kind of families come here? What kind of families should come here?
Sure.
And then how are some of those community partnerships helping you serve those families?
That's an excellent question. So right now we are open to the whole county of Orange. So we have families from Santa Ana, of course, down the block, some from Huntington Beach. We have families that even travel from Anaheim. So we welcome our doors to everyone. This is a free public charter school, a mm-hmm. school of choice. So we're excited that families don't allow zip codes to dictate where they want to go to school. Right. So we appreciate the families that do their research and try to find a school that best suits their needs. And so we're open to everyone, but predominantly we are Latino, free and reduced lunch, and we just strive again to bring that community together, that scholarship is standard like we talked about. And so the community partnerships that we have range from backpacks to free dental clinics, to school supplies, and even different avenues that we take to support our families with food, whether that's frozen meals through Bracken's Kitchen or Blessings in a Backpack, whatever that may be. We also host every other week a farmers market here at our campus, where families drive through all around Orange County, to just have their trunk filled with food and lots of love, as we try to set up all of our families up for success. So I think any families that just want to be more educated, want to be more involved and more welcome at this campus, that's who we're looking for, families who want to make a difference with us.
Wow. And you said that for the farmers market, that's families all throughout the county. So that's not just limited to the families that go to the school,
Absolutely.
but open to everyone.
We welcome everyone. We, from seniors, children, families, people who walk or might have just walked by.
Right.
They're free to and welcome to come and get some of the resources that we have here.
Well, that's great. So the school is also making an impact in the community and having community involvement. And I think you mentioned something earlier about some of the community partnerships that are also aimed not just at the students, but that really do get the parents involved. Maybe something with training with like the foster kids or something like that?
Sure. So we're really appreciative of all of our community partners that we have. One of the community partners we have is actually here as well. It's called the Mix Academy. Okay. And so the Mix Academy, now up and running here, coming with the school year on Wednesdays, have a variety of classes for children and adults. And so whether that's cooking classes, just educational, dance classes, they're really welcome. So our community that go here, they are the first ones to tap into those, into that. We have fostering kinship classes so that we're actually preparing our families if they would like to continue with the community change and become foster parents themselves. Okay. We know there's a great need in Orange County, so the more that we can spread the word and take off the stigma and come in as a community to really provide those wraparound services may start with our families themselves. So from that, we're really big into inviting our families. We want to have more parent universities. We've had classes before where parents have graduated as well and their children were a part of it. So anything from literacy to financial literacy, anything we can do to just welcome our families. We know that all of our families have amazing funds of knowledge that we can tap into. Whether we've even had families help us in supporting our scholars go to Catalina and by having small businesses, and parents were involved as well. Any way that we can involve our parents. A lot of our families want to give back to some of the resources that we do, so you even find our families volunteering at the farmers market as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So cyclical, getting involved
100%.
again. That's cool. And you mentioned literacy just now, and it made me think as we were walking through, we went into a reading room, but we were also at a tiki bar.
Right.
And and a lot of the rooms seem to have some really cool themes to them, especially in the younger wing of primary. Can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. We want to make it into an experience when our children walk into the primary building or the ed building. Even middle schoolers love amazing things around the wall, especially things that represent themselves and their heroes. So when you go into the primary wing, we want to make it to where the scholars are so excited to come. So you'll see a lot of university-inspired even within the classroom. There's even like a jungle for the Clemson Tigers. Just different ways, the bear den for UCLA. Just a different way for our kids to just interact and see what's around them and so that they feel comfortable. The reading room that you talked about is actually a little bit inspired by the ocean. Our organization, our 3 schools, all have mascots, and our mascot happens to be the stingray, which we use all the time in being flexible and mighty and just grand. And so that reading room is inspired for our kids to love reading and love literacy and feel comfortable in, enjoying themselves with a book. And so that's what the reading room's purpose is. And so we're thankful for that grant that we got, the Think Big reading room. And so our scholars enjoy it. And our parents were definitely a part of that too, as they're welcome to come and volunteer and read books to kids.
That's great. That's so important. I mean, parent involvement and the extra resources are great, and we know, that reading is such an important building block to the rest of academic success and opportunity. And on success, I see that, throughout the building, in every room, I think in all the hallways, we see this kind of, is it a pyramid of success?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually modeled after Coach Wooden's UCLA pyramid of success that he used with his basketball players to really just emphasize all the blocks it takes to get to your personal best, to the very top. And so we just don't want to tell our students, do your personal best. We want to explain what that looks like, whether it's hard work or having poise when you need to, or working together for teamwork. It's just all of us recognizing those strengths within us. So character and building the whole child is very important. And we know that as long as we explain that to children, they understand it. It's weaved into our vocabulary, into our daily talks. You walk across the hallway and there's determination. You see a quote from Maya Angelou. So there's different inspiration. And that kind of still goes back to that university-inspired feeling. We want our scholars to know that we're here for them and to build them to be the best that they can be. But we need to give them the tools to do so. So that's what the pyramid helps us with. We recognize our scholars monthly by each block, and we kind of climb it to the very end to personal best. and we acknowledge our scholars for all that they do, even interwoven with academics.
Wow, really cool. Yeah, a lot of great things there, and I saw matching with some of those blocks were some inspirational leaders that kind of embodied each of those different blocks as well.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned community and part of the mission. Is there a way that you'd summarize that, or kind of a mission statement?
Sure. That mission statement is that we are all in it, right? We're all leaders, and we're all here for community change. And so with community change is the word community. So bringing in community partners, the community feeling in our classrooms, the community feeling in our whole school, and what we are all doing to provide just an overall safe environment for our scholars and resources for our families. So whether that be an after-school program that we have, both one that's by the ACES grant, YMCA, or even an internal one that's more flexible for our families. We want to provide that free of charge. We have a meal program that's free for all scholars for breakfast and lunch. So different things like that we want to share with our families, that through dress code, through food, through the well-being of their children, the community partners, we're here just in the best interest of their children. And so I think when we express that to families, they say, oh my gosh, you really want to support us.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're here for, is that we know that it takes a village, it takes a community, and the only way to actually change our community is to come together and to support our families and their scholars. And that's what we do at this TK8 school. And we are really excited for the future for a high school, because I know our families want to continue with this family that we've created here in Santa Ana, and just the overall feeling of accomplishment that we've done together as founding this school 6 years ago already.
Wow. Yeah, that's great that the community comes together. I mean, that's amazing. And a free after-school program. You mentioned the farmers market with giving out food.
Absolutely.
And
Back to school drives, holiday drives that we do for extra presents. I think this is just a community that has been well received by everyone.
I think you mentioned like clothing, school supplies.
And it's amazing that people will continue to reach out to us and say, hey, we have this. And I think it's just that willingness to accept everything and anyone here. And so those wraparound services keep growing for us, especially those who are experiencing homelessness at this moment, or those in foster care. We really want to just embrace the most vulnerable of our children so that we can set them up.
Well, it's great that you have the support here and the community behind you to provide those extra resources.
I think that's what makes scholarship prep so
And did I catch in there that there's a high school in the works?
Absolutely, that's what we're looking for. And we already have scholars that are, in other schools of choice that are ready when we open up our doors for a high school.
Wow, so that's going to be great.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Students
TK-12
can get in now,
system.
they can start to get into the system, have that support with their eye on university and beyond, and then go right through the system with the high school as
We
well.
have many goals that we want to accomplish that, and of course that's just to continue the process of scholarships. There's so many out there, and we want to empower our scholars, their families, to know what's the process, how do we tap into that, and how do we get our scholars to that point, to the university, with scholarships based on the arts program that we have, the athletics, and academics. And so again, that's just what we talk about as a community here, that like myself, if it wasn't for scholarships, it wasn't for the community behind me, I wouldn't be here in front of you.
That's right.
And that's what it takes.
And I know it feels early to be talking about like scholarships and university choices. Does the school have that kind of guidance program where they're already helping students get in the mindset for those choices?
Absolutely, and every year we're pushing ourselves to do so. We've had some scholars over the few years that we've been already to receive scholarships through the Ben Carson Scholarship. We have kiddos that have worked really hard to even have full scholarships to Mater Dei, and we know that our teachers have had a hand in that, in preparing them, in supporting them. One of our students who had his big interview, we were all texting him and calling him, and the mom told us that made all the difference, because her kiddo walked in with that confidence, knowing there was a community behind him cheering him on. And so we want to continue to do that. We have our Dean of Academics and many teachers who are really passionate about that, and there's over 200 scholarships just for middle school students. So it's a goal for us that our scholars leave here middle school with a scholarship, and of course to continue with that K-12 system.
Right there in the name.
Right. That's exactly it.
Well, that's so cool to hear that, the support for the students and not just academically, but in their success in life, that it doesn't stop where the classroom ends. It doesn't stop when they leave the school, but it really is beyond that with the community involvement and really helping them on that path to success.
Absolutely. And we want to welcome our scholars, and when they grow up and maybe possibly become educators, to come back to the community that loved them so much and start all over again.
There it is. That's it. So you also mentioned whole child just then, and I'm glad you did. What does that mean? Because that's maybe a new approach that not everyone understands. And you also kind of said, like, even from the first moment kids walk into the school, things are a little bit different here. Can you explain that a bit?
Thank you for bringing that up. I think social emotional learning is something that we really try to take as an undertaking so that we really understand the whole child, and that's the whole child approach. And that goes along with just being trauma informed and trauma aware. We know that our scholars all come from different life experiences, life backgrounds, but bad days are bad days, and it's part of our, our mission as teachers, as staff, that we look each child in the eye. We kind of get a sense of how they're feeling. We ask them, we build their vocabulary, that emotional intelligence since TK, so that they can express themselves. And that's the best way for teachers to actually reach their kids, is knowing how they're doing. And so that's part of that threshold greeting in the morning. Nothing beats a look right in the eyes and a different greeting, whether it's an air hug or a fist bump, whatever it may be.
It's just
a
shared wink one was one of them.
So it's that personal connection we want our teachers to do first before we start hitting the academics, because you get to feel the room, you get to see your scholars. And for most part, we don't take it for granted, as our families are busy and doing all kinds of things, right? That they are seen, that they are recognized, and that they're saying hello. That's important, and just to check in with them. We take that a step further with our morning meeting. So we don't just jump right into academics. We want to set the stage, set the tone, and so that emphasis on using a curriculum, an online curriculum called Move This World, where our scholars are really walked through different breathing exercises, different mentalities of like growth mindset, what to do when you're having a conflict with a friend, what are the words that we can use. I think all of this is to build their emotional intelligence and just build their capacity to express themselves. We also are a school that believes in restorative practices, and so we want to teach our children that it's important to restore whatever was maybe undone, or something was hurt, or something was said. We want the ability to just work it out, work it through, and just get back, reintegrate. And so that's part of our emphasis at our school, the whole child. That's very important to all of us.
Yeah, and it is, it's one of those maybe buzzwords that we hear, and it really is so important because there's so much more to it than just the academic side.
Absolutely, and administrators have to do that with our teachers too. We've all been through quite a bit. We can always talk about that, and so it's important as administrators that we're checking in with our teachers of their mental health, their well-being, and then that trickles down to our scholars. And you never know, scholars can go home and even check in with their families and see with their younger siblings and help kind of just communicate with each other, that we're here to support each other. And when you feel that, you can feel that success can happen.
That's right. I remember as we were walking through, and I think it's on the door to the room that we happen to be in, are those kind of sentence prompts or feeling prompts to help really be able to express yourself and to start that conversation, to start that communication.
Absolutely, and that happens academically through academic discourse, and also just like what you mentioned with our TKers, having them, their kindergartners, our primary students, building that vocabulary so that they can express themselves. We also acknowledge that we have English learners from all across the world, and so to build their capacity of language, celebrate the many languages that are spoken here, number one, and number two is just to build their English proficiency and reading, writing, all of that, so that we can get them to be the best themselves in education.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that you had kind of some extra support and extra services that you do for language learners to really help them integrate, was it?
Another wonderful thing about our school is that we teach our teachers and our students that not to be shy of data. To be data-driven is so impactful, and it empowers all of us, as we are all part of the goal process. What are our goals? Where are we? What's our next step, and how to get there? And so we do that with, of course, our students who have received special education services, our scholars who are English learners. We want to make sure that we are empowering our scholars to see what are the next goals, what do I need to work on, and how do I do that in a community of learners at our school. And so we definitely emphasize that, starting from our our primary teachers all the way to middle school, that we use data and we use that information with our scholars in our weekly data talks with our teachers to empower us to move forward and to set goals. And that's so important. That's part of that university-inspired environment, right?
And having those goals and aspirations right from the start.
Absolutely. And so that's why we want to make sure that, you know, our teachers and our scholars are supporting that process of English language development, whatever that may look like, so that we can eventually reclassify. And that means that we are English proficient while maintaining the many languages our families may speak at home.
Great. Yeah, it sounds good. And you mentioned community, and I'm glad you did, because I wanted to ask just kind of overall, how would you describe the community here? And I know it's kind of a broad question, right?
Oh my goodness, if my heart could just burst out of my chest. This is a beautiful community. I think our families are so special to us because they've really been alongside us all of these years. They've been there when we've had to go to Orange County Department of Ed to get our charter renewal, which we received 7 years.
That's great.
I think our families are very much invested. They feel welcomed. Every school year, you know, getting that voice of our families is so important. So that survey of, are you seen? Do you feel welcomed? How's the leadership? And we've just really have received an overall feeling that our families are welcomed, that our families are heard, that they're seen, that we remember who they are, and that their children, whatever the case may be, different family structures are important to us, and that each of us are involved in just providing that safe environment for their children where they are pushed to their personal best in the best way.
That's it, right? And where they have those goals and have the community behind them and support to help reach those goals.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without our families.
Well, that's great. So when people want to find more information, like where are you located? How can they find the school? And maybe what's a website that they can go to for information?
Sure. We're right off 17th Street in Bristol, 1010 West 17th Street. We're in Santa Ana. You can find our school in particular at scholarshipschools.org. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and just our direct email. But you can find all that information on our website at scholarshipschools.org. Pull down the menu to Santa Ana, and we're there, and we're ready to welcome any family at any time.
Great. Well, you got it there. For more information, that's scholarshipschools.org. You can also check out their profile and get more information at schola.com. And be sure to check out the school or stop by in person. Right, Denise, thanks so much for having us here. It was our pleasure.
No problem. Go Stingrays!
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's Schola School Chat video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you would like to watch more of our awesome videos, make sure to click here. And to stay up to date with all the awesome videos we post and subscribe to our channel, make sure to click here. See you on the next one!